In this video teaching, I'm going to reveal why the name of God, the holy Yod-Hey-Vav-Hey Hashem, the Tetragrammaton, has specifically been placed upon the Jewish people and why they are to carry and bear that name upon themselves, as well as how all the nations can follow suit and ascend Mount Zion to the God of Israel. In a world obsessed with making a name for itself, there exists a quiet yet eternal countercurrent. A people not tasked with building towers to the sky, but with ascending a spiritual mountain. A people not seeking to invent a name, but to bear a divine name. This is the story not just of Israel or the Jews, but of all of humanity. A story that begins in a valley and rises, if we let it, toward the highest spiritual peak of Mount Zion. Let us begin at Babel. In Genesis 11, we are told of a moment when all of humanity gathered as one. United, they moved eastward, away from Eden, away from the source, and they found a valley in the land of Shinar. The Hebrew calls it a beaker, a lowland, a descent, a spiritual drop. And right there in that valley they said, "Let us build a city and a tower with its top in the heavens, and let us make a name for ourselves." This is the human ego at its peak, cloaked in unity, yet driven by rebellion. The leader of this movement was Nimrod, whose very name comes from mered in Hebrew, meaning rebellion. Babel wasn't merely about architecture, it was a declaration of rebellion. Humanity would reach heaven not by obedience, but by conquest. Not to magnify the name of God, but to replace it with one of their own making a name for themselves. Contrast this with another man who appears just one chapter later, Abram, not yet Abraham, who hears a call from above saying, "Lech lecha, go for yourself to the land I will show you. And I will make of you a great nation, and I will make your name great." Genesis 12, 1-2. But this time the name is not self-made out of rebellion. Abram does not descend into the valley, he ascends spiritually, morally, inwardly, and God changes his name to Abraham Avhamon Goyim, the father of many nations. His identity becomes not one of separation and self-glory, but of inclusion, calling, and covenant, one of unity. And with this covenant comes a sign called Brit Milah, circumcision, a cutting away of the flesh, of the ego, of the self-made shell. It is the anti-Babel, a physical mark of humility, a descent of spirit in order to ascend in holiness. Abraham becomes the template, not only for Israel, but for all who seek truth. He is the one who came out of Babylon, literally and spiritually. He shows the world you don't have to stay in the valley, you don't have to stay living a life of spiritual rebellion. Your name can change. This brings us to Yehuda, which is Judah, and the people named after him, the Yehudim, where we get the English word for the Jews. The name Yehuda contains within it the four-letter divine name Yod-Hey-Vav-Hey, the very Shem Havaya. In fact, Judah is the only name in the entire Bible that includes all the letters of the Tetragrammaton with the addition of a dalet, which is the Hebrew letter for poor or humble. A reminder that to bear the name of God, one must be inwardly low, surrendered, emptied. This is why Judah, and by extension the Jewish people, are not called to make a name for themselves, but rather to carry the divine name upon them in their very essence. They are Hashem's people, his chosen, his emissaries in the world, evidenced by the very fact that they are the only people with the divine name of God written into their own name, but not chosen for privilege, but for responsibility. As Isaiah said, "You are my witnesses," declares Hashem, "and my servant whom I have chosen," Isaiah 43:10. And again in Isaiah 43:7 it says, "Everyone who is called by my name, whom I created for my glory." This is what David, the son of Jesse from the tribe of Judah, embodied. He is called Mashiach, my anointed, and he said in his heart, "Not to us, O Hashem, not to us, but to your name give glory." Psalm 115:1. The house of David did not ascend the throne to magnify their own greatness. They ruled to enthrone Hashem in the hearts of the people. And this spiritual ascent became geographic. The Jewish people did not build their holy city in a valley. They ascended Mount Zion, where Babel built a tower to exalt their ego. Jerusalem, on the other hand, builds a temple of spiritual connection and unity with Hashem. And where Babel confused the languages of men, Zion, well, it becomes the place where the world finds clarity. And as the prophet Isaiah envisions the latter day says, "In the last days the mountain of Hashem's house shall be established at the top of the mountains, and all nations shall flow to it. And many people shall say, 'Come, let us go up to the mountain of Hashem, and he will teach us his ways.'" Isaiah 2:2-3. This is the great reversal. Humanity, once scattered in confusion after trying to build a name in the valley, now flows upward like a river defying gravity, ascending toward the place where the name of God is known and honored. This is not just the calling of Israel. Abraham reminds us this is the calling of all nations. Every human being can leave Babylon. Every soul can exit the valley and walk upward. You don't need to be born a Jew to bear the name of God. You need only to submit, to surrender, and to sanctify his name in your life. For as the prophet Zechariah said, "In that day 10 men from every nation will grasp the corner of the garment of a Jew, saying, 'Let us go with you, for we have heard that God is with you.'" Zechariah 8:23. This is not religious superiority, it is sacred responsibility. The Jews were given the name not to hide it, but to share it and to lift it high like a banner on the mountain. And you, whoever you are, wherever you come from, you are invited to leave Babylon now, to stop building towers of ego and technology and confusion, building man-made religions and steeples. You're invited to climb the mountain to Zion above. You are invited to stop making a name for yourself and start bearing the name and live for Hashem. Because there is only one name that endures for eternity. And on that day Hashem will be one, and his name one. Zechariah 14:9. Thank you for watching. This has been a presentation of Avraham Eminer. The views expressed here are mine alone and are not meant to be an authoritative representation of any one religious tradition.